For years, the Philippines has been sold online as a kind of digital paradise for foreign creators. Beaches, warm weather, welcoming people, low cost of living, and a culture that generally tolerates cameras in public spaces have made the Philippines one of the most filmed destinations. In Southeast Asia, thousands of foreign vloggers have arrived with little more than a camera, a microphone, and the promise of authentic content, slowly building audiences by documenting daily life, relationships, and street-level encounters. Most of the time, this ecosystem functions quietly in the background of the internet. But every so often, a story emerges that forces everyone to pause and ask difficult questions about power, consent, legality, and accountability in the age of digital content creation. Recently, online discussions and local reporting began circulating around a foreign YouTuber of European origin living in the Philippines who became the subject of an official police investigation. The reaction was immediate and intense. Social media filled with speculation, emotional commentary, and polarized opinions, ranging from unconditional defense to outright condemnation. But beneath the noise lies a more important issue. This is not simply a story about one individual. It is a story about a system that rewards attention without always enforcing responsibility, and about what happens when digital influence collides with real-world law. This video does not attempt to declare guilt or innocence. That role belongs to the courts. Instead, it aims to explore the broader context that makes situations like this possible, recurring, and explosive. Foreign vlogging in the Philippines. How IT became so powerful. To understand why this case resonated so strongly, it is necessary to understand how foreign vlogging operates in the Philippines. The country offers a unique mix of accessibility and visibility. English is widely spoken, communities are open, and daily life unfolds in ways that are visually compelling to outside audiences. For a foreign creator, especially one coming from a wealthier country, the contrast alone becomes content. Markets, neighborhoods, conversations, and personal encounters are framed as discoveries, even though they are simply ordinary life for locals. Over time, many creators move beyond scenery and into intimacy. The camera enters homes, follows individuals, lingers on personal stories, and captures moments that were never designed for global consumption. While audiences often describe this as authentic, authenticity does not automatically equal ethical. The power imbalance is subtle but real. One person controls the narrative, the editing, the monetization, and the permanence of what is uploaded, while the people being filmed often have little understanding of where that footage will end up or how long it will exist. When content starts to cross invisible boundaries, the problem rarely begins with malicious intent. In most cases, boundaries are crossed gradually. As channels grow, algorithms begin to reward deeper access, stronger emotion, and more personal footage. What once felt optional becomes expected. Creators feel pressure to deliver content that feels closer, more revealing, and more emotionally charged than before. This is where ethical lines can begin to blur, especially in environments where legal enforcement feels distant or unlikely. Filming without clear consent, capturing people in vulnerable situations, or recording interactions that involve children, poverty, or private conversations may not raise immediate alarms online, but they accumulate risk. The longer such content exists, the more likely it is to be re-examined through a legal lens rather than an entertainment one. And when that shift happens, the consequences can be severe. When authorities step in. In the case that sparked this video, reports indicate that Philippine authorities executed a search warrant as part of an ongoing investigation involving a foreign content creator. Regardless of the outcome, this moment represents a turning point. For many foreign vloggers, there is an unspoken assumption that being visible, popular, or well-liked offers a degree of protection. This assumption is false. Visibility does not equal immunity, and digital popularity does not override national law. Once authorities become involved, the narrative changes entirely. What was once viewed as content becomes potential evidence. Videos uploaded years earlier are revisited, reinterpreted, and scrutinized for compliance with local laws. Actions that once seemed casual or harmless are examined within a formal legal framework that operates very differently from online opinion. The danger of online trials. As soon as investigations become public knowledge, the internet does what it always does. It fills the information vacuum with speculation. Screenshots circulate. Clips are taken out of context. Viewers begin to assign intent based on limited information. This is where damage can occur regardless of legal outcomes. An investigation is not a conviction, and an allegation is not proof. But online judgment rarely waits for facts to be established. This dynamic harms everyone involved. If wrongdoing is ultimately proven, online hysteria does not contribute to justice. If no wrongdoing is proven, reputational damage can still be permanent. The internet does not have a mechanism for proportional response or correction. It amplifies extremes and preserves them indefinitely. Why this story struck a nerve. The intensity of the reaction to this case cannot be separated from broader historical and social contexts. The Philippines, like many countries in the Global South, has a long history of outsiders benefiting from its openness, while most foreigners contribute positively or quietly coexist. Even a single case that raises ethical or legal concerns can reopen unresolved tensions around exploitation, inequality, and power imbalance. This is why discussions around foreign vloggers often become emotionally charged. The issue is not nationality, it is asymmetry. One person controls a platform that generates income, influence, and reach, while others become subjects without equivalent agency. When that imbalance is perceived to be abused, public reaction is rarely measured. Recurring patterns across Southeast Asia. What makes this story especially important is that it is not unique. Similar controversies have emerged in Thailand, Cambodia, Indonesia, and Vietnam, involving foreign creators who overstepped cultural, ethical, or legal boundaries. In many cases, the pattern is strikingly similar: rapid audience growth, increasingly intimate content, public backlash, and eventual intervention by authorities. These patterns suggest a systemic issue rather than isolated misconduct. Content platforms encourage creators to push limits while offering little guidance on cross-cultural ethics or local legal frameworks. Responsibility is left almost entirely to individuals who may not fully understand the risks they are accumulating. The myth of ignorance. One of the most common defenses raised in these situations is ignorance of the law. Unfortunately, ignorance offers no protection. The Philippines has clear legislation regarding privacy, child protection, cybercrime, and the unauthorized distribution of images or video. Foreign residency does not exempt anyone from these laws, and digital content is increasingly recognized as a domain requiring regulation. Being a YouTuber is not a legal status. It is a platform, and platforms do not override national sovereignty. What this means for foreign creators. For foreign vloggers currently living in or visiting the Philippines, this case should serve as a moment of reflection rather than fear. Filming people carries responsibility. Editing choices matter. Context matters. And consent must be more than assumed or implied. The question creators should be asking is not, will this get views? But would this withstand legal scrutiny if examined outside the platform ecosystem? Audiences move on quickly. Authorities do not. The role of platforms. Another dimension often overlooked is the role of social media platforms themselves. These companies profit from content created in vulnerable contexts, yet rarely provide creators with clear guidance on ethical boundaries or legal obligations across jurisdictions. When controversies arise, platforms distance themselves, leaving creators and film subjects to bear the consequences alone. This absence of accountability contributes to repeated failures. Waiting for facts in a fast world. At the time of recording, many details surrounding this investigation remain unclear or unverified. That uncertainty is precisely why restraint matters. Responsible discussion requires patience, nuance, and respect for due process. Jumping to conclusions serves no one and undermines trust in both justice and media. Whatever the final outcome, the process itself already offers lessons that cannot be ignored. The bigger lesson? This story is ultimately about limits. Limits of content, limits of access, limits of power. When those limits are ignored, systems eventually respond. The camera is not neutral. Influence is not harmless. And attention does not cancel accountability. Conclusion: a turning point. Whether this specific case results in charges or closure, it should mark a turning point in how foreign content creation is approached in the Philippines and beyond. Respect must come before reach. Dignity must come before monetization. And storytelling must never come at the cost of human agency. The internet may move fast, but consequences move slowly, and when they arrive, they tend to be final. There you have it. If you value responsible storytelling, thoughtful discussion, and content that respects both truth and people, subscribe to the channel. Share this video with context and engage in the conversation calmly and factually. Not every story needs outrage. Some stories need reflection.